Hello and welcome back to another TechNet video. Today I'm going to be going through a new piece of equipment called the H2Essential. We think this is a really nice addition to our inventory and will really benefit the media and film students up in this department. So, jumping straight into it, when you book out the H2Essential or the H2E, it will come in a nifty little box like this. So you just open it up and inside should be two pieces of equipment. So the first is this sort of small adapter here. This will allow you to screw the H2Essential to the top of it, and on the bottom you can screw it into something like a boom pole or a boom stand if you want to have a more adaptive audio setup. So you can place it on top of a stand or a boom pole when you're recording, and then you can angle it in whatever position you want to move it in. You do that by moving this dial here to loosen it up to allow you to take it from this sort of vertical upright position down to this sort of horizontal position, so depending on which angle you want your microphone to be sat at. But you can just screw that up to tighten it and secure it in place. Moving on to obviously the main piece of equipment, we have the H2Essential. Now this is almost like the smaller brother of the H2N, which you probably have used already in your coursework. But what's really good about this piece of equipment is we think it's a lot more easily accessible, a lot easier to use, and has a really high quality audio recording level to it. So the first thing that we want to do is obviously turn it on. So just flip it over to its side and there should be a power button right at the bottom. You just want to pull down on that slider for a few seconds and the LED screen should come alive and probably make a noise. Okay, there'll be a potential that it'll come up with the date and time. You just want to press OK to all of those and skip through those menus. So as you can see, when we flipped it over to the front, you see this nice waveform tracking across the middle of the screen. Okay, so this is currently telling me what my audio level is like as I'm speaking into it. So you've got some quite high points and quite low points, really good for adjusting your gain to make sure your audio sounds crystal clear. So just to start off with, on this front bit here, we've got a series of buttons. We've got these 4 blue buttons and underneath these black buttons as well. These 4 buttons allow you to control something like the mixer, low cut, marker and deleting, but they also allow you to navigate through the menus. So if I press the menu button at the bottom right, you've got things like file list, input, output, formatting, that sort of thing. You can use these blue buttons to navigate through them and select the ones you want to have control over. But we don't want to go into too much detail about those, we just want to talk about the basics of the H2Essential. So if I press menu again to go back to that waveform, just quickly at the bottom, there's probably some symbols that you will have recognised. So on the far left we have a pause button, a rewind, a play, a fast forward, and obviously the menu which we've just chosen. So they're really easy to use, quite simple, and you want to take this equipment out and have a practice with it so you're confident before you go on your shoot. Just to let you know, I'm actually recording the audio for this video on a H2Essential just over to the right by my key light over there, so you can be a judge of whether you think this audio would be suitable for your film or documentary or whatever project you're working on. So be a judge of that. I'll probably do some effects to it in post-production just to clear it up, but you'll be able to judge whether you think this will be a good addition to your shoot. So just going back to the H2 here in front of me, if we flip it over to the other side, we've got 3 different options here. So the first one is a line out option, which is where you can plug a pair of headphones into. Really highly recommend doing that so you can be aware of what your audio level is like and you can make sure that your recording is nice and crystal clear when you're on set. The next thing over is a volume button, so a simple slider scroll wheel that you can move up and down to adjust the audio coming out of your headphones. Please be aware, this volume slider does not adjust the gain of your audio, okay? So if you're speaking and it's really quiet, upping that volume slider won't do anything to your recording. It's purely what's coming out of your headphones, so please be aware of that. The next thing is a USB-C port. So this H2Essential runs off 2 AA batteries, but if you were on a long shoot for a documentary or whatever it may be, you can actually power it externally with that USB-C port. So moving on to the back of the H2Essential, we have the port where the AA batteries actually go. So you just want to place 2 thumbs on the back of that case, pull down towards you, and that will remove this lid. And as you can see here, we've got 2 AA batteries. Make sure you're lining them up with the correct positive and negative sides, otherwise the H2 won't turn on. And you could just reverse that operation, place it on the back and push upwards. Okay, so really easy to set up. So if we just go to the top now, so quite simply we have the red button on the far left, which is your start and stop recording. Press that once to start recording, press that again to stop recording. So really simple. We then have 2 sets of microphones. We have a rear and a front set of microphones. Obviously this controls whether the audio is being picked up from the front end or the rear end, and it will also tell you whether the front and rear or both are being used on that LED screen at the front. So really simple, really easy to use. Okay, we've got 3 more options as well, and these are different degrees of audio recording. So we have a 120 degree, a 90 degree, and a mono. Both the 120 degree and the 90 degree offer stereo track recording, so you can record a right and left channel. So if you wanted to do some sort of interesting things with 3D audio, you can choose those 2 options. And they also have almost like a wider cone of recording. So if you wanted to capture a room ambience, maybe you want to choose the 120 degree. And if you had maybe a 2-person conversation, the 90 degree, and something like I'm doing now, like a solo speaker, my H2 is set to mono, which is going to give me 1 audio track, and it's going to have a smaller cone of audio recording where it's going to pick up my voice a lot better. But yeah, that's pretty much the real basics of the H2Essential. Highly recommend taking this out for as a student if you're up in this department, and have a play with it and see if you can use this in any of your coursework or personal projects. But yeah, that's all for today. Thank you for listening.